In this video, we're going to talk through finding the vertex of a quadratic function written in standard form. So if you remember, standard form is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, where a, b, and c are all numbers. And if you notice, I've highlighted them in red to kind of help you see that process. Now, standard form again is the highest power, and this term is 2 to the lowest power, which is 1, the bx term, and then c is the constant number. So anytime you see a function in that form, and it's asking you to find the vertex, you will do this process, all right? I'm going to follow the steps I've laid out in red, so I ask that you just follow along as I do the first example. Now, the I do problem, again, it jumps out at me that it's in standard form. It's negative 2x squared, so there's my A term, minus 4x, that's my B term, minus 3 is my C term. The first step I'm going to work through is identifying the A, the B, and the C. So in this case, the A is negative 2, the B is negative 4, and the C is negative 3. So I have done step 1. Step 2 says to use the formula to find the x value of the vertex. This formula is very important. I ask that you memorize this formula. I'm going to read it like this: x equals opposite b over 2a. And I'm going to say opposite b because it just helps me remember. So if I have a b here, which is negative 4, in the formula, it's going to go from negative 4 to positive 4. So it's opposite whatever your b is over 2a. If I do step 2, and again, this is finding the x value, so I'm going to write x equals, and instead of opposite b over 2a, I'll put that formula here. Now, the b is negative 4, so it's going to become positive 4 in my formula over 2 times my a term. Now, a stays the same. If it's negative, it stays negative, so 2 times negative 2. So far, so good. Now, in this case, I want to clean up the denominator first. So I'm going to rewrite the numerator. 2 times negative 2 becomes a negative 4. And then 4 divided by negative 4 is negative 1. So my x value of the vertex is negative 1. All right? So I'm going to put, so far I have negative 1. And now that's my x value. I'm going to find my y value. In order to find the y value, we're going to do step 3. So we just did step 2. Step 3 says to plug in the x value, what you just found, into the original equation to find the y value. So I'm going to plug in negative 1 into these x's. And I'm going to compute that math, and that's going to tell me my y value. So step 3, y equals negative 2. And again, when I'm working with plugging in a value into a function, I'm going to use parentheses. So instead of where the x's were, I'm going to write parentheses, all right? Because that's going to help tell me that I'm going to put a number into those parentheses. So I have negative 2 parentheses squared minus 4 parentheses, and then minus 3. So again, inside those parentheses goes my x value that I found with the formula x equals opposite b over 2a. So I'm going to put a negative 1 and a negative 1. If I compute that math, negative 2 times the quantity negative 1 squared minus 4 times negative 1 minus 3, that also spits out and equals negative 1. Alright? If you did that in your calculator and you didn't get negative 1 as you're following along, make sure that you have put parentheses around the negative x values. So I found my my y value of my vertex as well. And that is the process. For any time a function is given to you and it has to find the vertex, you use the formula x equals opposite b over 2a to find the x value. And then in order to find the y value, plug it back into the equation for the original function and compute the math and get the y value. So I have found the vertex at negative 1, comma negative 1. I can fill that out in my sheet over here. I know that the axis of symmetry is always the x value of the vertex. I know that this parabola is going to open down because of the a value is negative 2. If it opens down, it means it's going to have a frowny face, which means it's going to have a maximum. And in this case, I'm not going to fill out the y-intercept or x-intercept yet. We're still going to use those based off of the graph. Now, if I were to graph this, I'm not going to do this in this video, but if I were to graph this, it's the same process. You would first plot the vertex, and then you would, based off of the a value, which in this case is -2, you would use the step pattern that we've worked with before. All right, at this time, please pause the video and try to find the vertex using this formula with your example that I asked you to do, and then check your work with mine. Pause the video and try this example on your own, y equals 3x squared plus 12x plus 5. And I ask you to find the vertex, and then fill out this information over here on your right. So the vertex is x, the x value is -2, and then I got the y value to be -7. Please check your work with mine. If you have any questions, please raise your hand or check with a neighbor. And then, because the a value is positive, I know it's going to open up, and that means that the parabola has a minimum. And again, the axis of symmetry is -2. The vertex at -2 comes -7. Now, moving forward into your practice really quick, all I'm going to ask you is to find the vertex and then draw the graph. So again, it's just vertex practice, but then also mastering and drawing the graph as well before moving forward. Remember, with the graph, with drawing the graph, referencing the a value, which will tell you the step pattern. Thank you for watching.